Yes, thanks very much, Dan. And as you mentioned, my name is Michael Talbot. I am Deputy Head of the Centre for Connecting Autonomous Vehicles. We are a joint policy unit between the Department for Business and the Department for Transport. And we were set up 6 years ago yesterday. So it's just had our 6th birthday. And when we were set up in 2015, the feeling was that the UK was falling behind on these technologies, this exciting self-driving and connected vehicle revolution that was coming. But through some targeted investment and some using the great capabilities of the UK, I think we've got ourselves into a good position. And over the next 5, 10, well, closer to 10 minutes, I suppose, I want to tell you a bit about what we've been doing, and then take some questions at the end, because I think that's really a lot of rich discussion, hopefully. Dan and the team are very brave. Obviously, you've got some great speakers earlier up, and you're finishing with a civil servant. So we'll see how that works. So as I've been saying, CCAV's been around for 6 years now, and we've really built our approach to these technologies around regulation, R&D, and testing infrastructure. There's some information there. I'll touch on those each in time. I can hear my 5-year-old in the background. Sorry about that. And then we'll talk you through a little bit of what's been going on, and then towards the end, highlight some of the opportunities that we hope will be coming up. So where we started in 2015 again was this sort of properly world-class code of practice, and this was about this established that you could test on any UK road today with a minimum of regulatory burden, but a strong expectation that you would behave appropriately and conduct your testing in the appropriate manner. That's done extremely well for us, I think, and that was updated to support and provide additional guidance for advanced trials back in 2019. And back in 2019 as well, we then initiated what's called the CCAV process for assuring safety and security. And this is a really important element because it's designed to provide the public and the government as regulator the confidence and the evidence to understand how these technologies should arrive on UK roads at commercial scale. It's for commercial deployment. So over the past few years, we're really starting to look to move from R&D trials, which we've had some properly world-beating trials here, which may surprise many, to that really tricky bit of then bringing them to market and more importantly onto the streets. So one of the things that we've been looking at is this has been an area that I've been leading since 2015 is CAM Testbed UK, coordinated by Zenzik, and this was £200 million of government and industry co-investment, and that's led to the creation of 6 testing facilities. These are all competing entities that have been brought together to accelerate development of the technology in the UK and create a world-beating UK offer. So you have comprehensive testing here, and we've done some benchmarking with what other countries are doing, about six or 7 other countries, and no one's organizing themselves quite in the way that we have done in this sense. So what we've done is we recognize that we have world-class facilities already, things like Hariba Myra, Millbrook, now UTAC, and some of the other sorts of areas. And rather than building a new facility on a greenfield site that would compete with these things, better to knit these together and add things that it might be missing. And I'm happy to talk a bit more about that a bit later. The other part, and this is probably very relevant to discussion and some of the things you'll have heard earlier, is around our R&D projects. And there's around £250 million, again, of industry and government co-investment that's gone into a significant number of projects that have been running around the UK with and you'll see from that map that there's a strong emphasis of things that have been happening in England. I think that's an important point of discussion because we want to move more into this sort of thing, which is what I believe you heard about earlier. And this is the CAV4 trial. We're really looking forward to seeing how that develops. I think, as you'll have heard, it's a really ambitious project in terms of the routes that it'll be running. Originally, I think expected to carry around 10,000 passengers a week, I think is, if I recall. But then you've got the complete transformation that COVID has brought to passenger carrying services. So that's obviously delayed the project a bit, but it's still one of the most exciting projects that I think we funded to date. So we're looking forward to seeing how that proceeds. A similar project which did actually run, and I had the pleasure of experiencing just last month, is Cambridge Autonomous Shuttle Trial, and this was with Origo, and they've also done some demonstrations up here in Scotland, and they've just reported on the outcome of that quite targeted journey project that they did in terms of the live testing. Again, they were badly hit by COVID-19 delays, but also COVID-19 and affecting the area they wanted to operate in. That they were hoping to have lots of people there, and of course, people are not in the science centres around Cambridge or working from home and things. But they did actually achieve a remarkable set of achievements here, as you'll see through that infographic. 106 journeys, 304 passengers, and 1,000 kilometers. So it's not bad, I think, given the challenges they've been facing, and a lot of learning. Some of the projects that are coming up that I think are really exciting, that alongside the CAV4 project, is multi-CAV, and that's running from the sort of Didcot train station, and working with a series of companies, including Arrival, and we've read lots about Arrival recently with its very exciting SPAC flotation on the New York Stock Exchange, but also the work that it's doing around electrification, manufacturing, and now with some work that we're doing with them to automate those platforms, both their bus and their delivery van, which you see on the right, in a separate project called RoboPilot. And one of the reasons I'm interested in showing this one to you is this, I think, really highlights the nature of what we've been trying to achieve in CCAV. It's not about giving a particular company some funding to accelerate development of their technology, but it's actually getting all the key people that need to understand how these technologies work to come together to collaborate and achieve a more ambitious project. And I think that's reflected in the nature of a lot of local councils here, network operators, insurers, law firms, and others. So there's a really interesting mix of companies, and that's been a characteristic of the CCAV projects from the outset. It's about stimulating and creating that wider learning and driving forward that knowledge. Mindful of time, I'm going to sort of roll on quite quickly, but I think it was interesting that Don showed you the 1970s footage of from TRL. They had a vehicle that actually in about 1960 that I can't remember what kind of van it was, but it only moved at 2 miles per hour. So it was a very early case scenario there. But to show you how quickly the technology is moving on, I don't think Bryn will have shown you, Bryn Balcom, earlier, but this is some footage from Goodwood from the top part that I'll be showing is from 2018, when their robo-race vehicle first did the hill climb at Goodwood, and that compared to the 2019 trial demonstration that they did on the hill climb the following year. And I think what's interesting is to see how quickly these vehicles are moving, and how quickly the pace of change within those vehicles is moving. And hopefully you can hear the sound as well.
No, there's no sound. I think when you share the screen, that was an option you had to check.
Sorry about that. I think I've had this once before. So I'll move back up from that. I think if you can't hear it, I'll try and show that another time. But let's see if I can stop sharing now.
I'll send it out to everyone in the follow-up emails.
That sounds great. Oh, you still there?
Yep, you'll need to share your screen again though.
So am I unsharing? Sorry, I moved this bit. There's nothing else to show. I think ultimately, I think that was the last slide. I think I wanted to wind up then. I saw I was at about 10 minutes, and I think probably get some Q&A now.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be. If there are any questions, again, please put them in the chat. There's nothing too much there at the moment. But I guess that's, you talk about the projects. There was one that was still up and coming. Was that the multi-CAV one? Is that not just started yet?
Multi-CAV and RoboPilot, so they'll all be running this year. Okay. So there's a few more projects still to come, and I think one of the things I wanted to highlight as well is that obviously with the some big changes in the UK that we're and the one-year spending reviews that we've had in central government, we haven't been able to set out that next phase in the way that we would like yet. So we're hoping that this upcoming spending review, that there'll be some good ambitious plans for developing phase 2, which is to move on from the R&D trials, which have been great and have really sort of created this vibrant sector in the UK, and then bring those up into commercial trials, commercial deployments. And that's, I think, going to be the next challenge. And I think one of the things that I wanted to communicate is that we want more Scottish involvement in these in these projects. We've had some pretty good involvement over the years, but it's not been on the scale that I think we would like to have seen. And there's some great capabilities up here. I think we've got the photonics capabilities in between Glasgow and Edinburgh, but also Edinburgh Centre of Robotics, and some great cyber capabilities. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on with the subsea activity with the energy sector as well. But that's the invitation and the challenge to this group.
So there's specific, I know you have a funding call open right now around safety based upon sort of the existing or past pilots that you've done. Are you waiting on the spending review before more challenges and funding opportunities come available, or is there anything you can talk about sort of looking forward just to allow people to potentially prepare?
That's right. The things that we're doing now, we're trying as far as possible to need to be wound up with a couple of exceptions within this financial year. And then the next spending period will begin. We're waiting for some clarification. So later this year, we expect the government to announce settlement to the various departments, and that will provide some certainty for investment around particular areas of what we're doing. That being said, some of the things that are still rolling around regulation, the law commissions of Scotland and England and Wales have been working together on reviewing the regulation over the past 3 years, and that report's coming out soon as well. So that element still needs to happen because these technologies are coming, and we just need to understand how we can ensure that they do so safely. And from my perspective, from the Department of Business side, making sure that the most valuable parts are built in the UK.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we haven't had any questions come in, but I'm sure we'll cover them off if they do. So I might just move along because we're, nearing the end. So thank you very much for your time, Michael. That was really useful to get an idea of, how CCAV has been working in this space and working towards the UK government and in turn the Scottish government enabling this type of activity on our streets. So it's promising times. I mean, actually, as far as timelines goes, we've seen in the US particularly, there's companies talking about rolling out e-taxis in 2023 in multiple cities. Well, I don't know, what does your crystal ball say as far as the UK?
Yes.
Are we looking at commercial deployments?
Yeah, so Zenzik, who've been coordinating ChemTestBed UK, did a really important piece of work called the UK Connected and Automated Mobility Roadmap to 2030. So it does what it says on the tin. It's not a catchy title, but it does exactly what it says. And that was really groundbreaking, that it brought together policy and legislation, vehicle infrastructures, vehicle technologies, infrastructure technologies, and service models, and worked out what the interdependencies were. And through that work, I think they've made a determination that we're likely to see a transitional period between about 2024 and 2026, when we'll start to see more. So we'll see that you'll start to notice that transition from R&D trials to commercial deployments. They haven't put a number on it. I think they're just saying you'll see a few from around now. You'll start seeing some of these sorts of services emerge. You'll see more from about 2024, and you'll see a lot more by 2026. So I think that's what they're saying is the time that things will change, and that's got pretty broad industry support. There are around 200 companies that contributed to that thinking across all the key sectors. So I think we've got some confidence that if it's not correct, at least it's the latest best thinking. But as ever, with crystal ball gazing, which was a previous role of mine, it's notoriously difficult.
Yeah, well, I remember when I started in the industry, we'd all, according to the dates outlined then, back in 2017, 2016, that we'd all be driving autonomous vehicles today, or not driving autonomous vehicles today. So let's hope these timelines are a little bit more realistic. Thank you very much for your time, Michael. It's great to have you here. I'll just move on now to our closing couple of slides. One moment while I share this. All right, skipping over a few of these. As I said, I wanted to mention some of the opportunities going forward, or that are currently active and available to SMEs and others. Just quickly, again, Smart Scotland R&D feasibility funding is open. You've still got at least a month to apply for that funding. Might be getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but there is a heavy goods vehicle feasibility projects funding from Scottish Enterprise. There will be a launch event. I think it's penciled in for Thursday, 5th of August. That may change, but check we'll probably distribute information on that, but check Seed Scotland in particular. They will be the hosts of that launch event. Okay, of course, I just mentioned regarding Michael, the CCAV Advanced Safety to Full Automation project closes in a few days. So if you're not already well and truly finished on your proposal, it's probably a little bit too late to take advantage of that. And of course, Innovate UK always has their smart grants open as well. Let's not forget Horizon Europe, which is up and running, and the UK companies and UK cities can be involved in Horizon Europe projects. There is a huge amount of money and a lot of activity around connected and autonomous vehicles and sustainable mobility more generally. Just call out a couple of other opportunities here. National Express is welcoming innovative ideas. So look at their NXIS program on their website. And just this morning, I spotted another one around micromobility. There's a challenge by Iberdrola. I don't know how you say that, but yeah, they've got an interesting little program there, sort of asking companies to address the challenge around, I guess, proprietary charging for e-scooters and e-bikes, and how we address the challenge of charging those smaller vehicles. So just quickly, as far as the Sustainable Mobility Cluster Builder goes, one particular project that we're looking to launch in the summer is our Sustainable Mobility Pitch Book. If you're a company any way associated or working in sustainable mobility and you want to be included in our pitch book, please do get in contact. We want to profile you. We want the world to know what's happening in Scotland and what companies are active in sustainable mobility. Hoping to launch in early November, so keep an eye on that. Do reach out. We'll have our contact details on the last slide, so we'll be there in a moment. As a Sustainable Mobility Cluster Builder, this is specific to Scottish SMEs or companies active in Scotland. We do have fully funded business support available. There's a million different things we can do for you to help your business to be successful. Just a few examples listed there on the page. But if you think there's any connections we can make, assistance with applying for some of the funding opportunities I've mentioned, please do get in touch again. If you're not sure, reach out, we'll have a conversation and see how we might be able to help. Okay, how to otherwise get involved. We regularly have these events. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we do have another one coming up in a couple of months' time. In the meantime, join our LinkedIn group where we'll be providing a lot of this information on a continuous basis. You'll also get the event updates as the next event comes along. From memory, the next one was heavy goods vehicles and drivetrains and electrification. Yeah, I think that was right. But so yeah, otherwise just to join our mailing list, ping us at mobility@urbanforesight.org and we'll keep you updated on all the activity in one way or another. I think I already said all that. So that's us. Again, thank you very much to everyone who joined us today, especially to our audience for hanging in there. I know it's a long presentation. Hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you found something inspiring. If you do want to get in touch with any of the presenters today, please contact us. We might be sending out some of their contact details for those that are willing. Thanks to our presenters for taking the time on this, what is a very hot afternoon for some. So we appreciate your time and contribution. Everyone enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Hopefully you can find some time to go to enjoy the sun. Looking forward to seeing you all again next time. Thank you.